Hello, it's me, Darkfry, the pinkest blob you know, and at the time of writing this very paragraph, the United States bombed Iran just a few hours ago. When I learned the news, I did what I usually do when the United States does something profoundly evil, and watched the legendary Whitest Kids You Know sketch.
To make things short, I will just confirm that yes, we do have a moon base, and yes, we are currently experiencing some bear problems.
We wouldn't happen to be invading Iran today, would we?
You got me.
I fell for it. You almost got away with that one.
This video is iconic at this point. Hardly a day goes by where I don't see someone post a screenshot of it in response to a piece of news, especially recently.
If you shoot a bald eagle in the United States, they put you in jail for 5 years. And yet windmills knock out hundreds of them.
Are you us?
That's a really good question.
No, we are not, and I would like to remind everyone to keep the language civilized. This is the White House.
It's a funny, clever, cathartic sketch, so I made it a bit of a tradition to rewatch it from time to time, and judging by the newest comments at the time of writing, I am not alone in doing this. It did not end there, however. I ended up going down the Whitest Kids You Know rabbit hole, and I rewatched a bunch of their sketches, and I was pleasantly surprised by how well they still hold up. These guys were seriously ahead of their time and really mastered the art of making edgy jokes.
Now, it was okay for me to say it right then because I was just telling you that it's illegal to say, I want to kill the President of the United States of America.
Comedy has been in a weird spot these past few years. Right-wingers love to repeat that the left is killing comedy, or comedy is illegal now, or you can make edgy jokes without offending all the snowflakes, blah blah blah.
It will eventually get to straight white men are not allowed to talk.
The truth is that comedy is doing fine and always has been, and that it is possible to be edgy and funny at the same time. Right-wingers are just bad at it because all they want to do is be bigoted and yell slurs. Whitest Kids You Know is a masterclass in edgy yet meaningful satire. They have this quality that all good satire does, like The Onion or The Simpsons, where you can revisit it years later and with the benefit of hindsight, it seems unbelievably prescient. The reason Whitest Kids You Know's edgy satire works so well and is usually not offensive is because that edge is almost always aimed at the right direction through punchy, accurate writing and clever framing.
Here's an unflattering picture of my opponent. Here's a quote of his taken out of context.
To see a great example of what I mean, I want to talk about one of my favorite sketches, The Greatest.
Cause I'm gonna grip you in the mouth.
So, at first glance, this seems like a lazy, insensitive joke, and one could easily imagine an alternate version of this skit that is just the commercial.
If you throw that away, I will rip you in the mouth, okay?
Foreshadowing is a literary device in
which would indeed be a lazy, insensitive rape joke. But that is not the actual point of this skit. We have not seen the framing device yet.
He's going to what them in the mouth?
He's gonna grape him.
He's going to grape them.
Yeah, in the mouth.
Suddenly, the skit obtains new meaning and can be seen through an entirely different light. The joke here isn't the advertisement itself. It's mocking the people who would create that kind of shit for a children's TV commercial.
Will you listen to yourself?
Look what she's wearing.
Look what she's wearing?
There was an era of television where kids' channels would have ads and even shows like this. Just look at Dan Schneider and the various documentaries on his conduct and treatment of child actors. It's aware of the shitty joke it could make and instead uses it to make fun of weird pervert TV execs. This sketch also makes fun of the ways people will use a thin veil of playing dumb puritanism to mask their obvious nefarious intentions, making the person pointing out the obvious problem with the commercial seem like the one with the perverted mind.
This is obviously a rape scenario.
Why are you trying to twist a children's soda commercial into your
weird, sick, sort of twisted, pervy.
Why were they running? Why was that child screaming mom?
Given what we now know about that era of television and the tactics they used to get away with it for so long, this is one of the many examples of Whitest Kids You Know being 10 years ahead of their time. Whitest Kids You Know predicting the future is an occurrence common enough for them to be aware of it. For example, WKUK has a sketch called Soshan the Elegant White Tiger King. The sketch features the titular White Tiger King Shoshan, making increasingly racist and ridiculous decrees intermeted by an annoyingly catchy jingle. His decrees include,
"There will be a grand parade, and all in my kingdom are invited, except for the brown tigers."
We're going to have a big parade this year, in Washington, D.C., a real parade.
"I hereby decree that a giant fence should be erected to keep all the brown tigers out of the white tiger kingdom.
We're going to build the wall. We have no choice. We have no choice.
Some brown tigers shall be allowed into the kingdom to perform menial tasks."
Who's going to pay for the wall? 100%.
This all sounds hauntingly familiar, does it not? Shoshan is meant to be a satire of authoritarian fascism in general, pointing out how silly and stupid it sounds. And in doing that, they essentially wrote a near one-to-one parody of Donald Trump in 2009. This sketch is so relevant to current events that the official Whitest Kids You Know channel just re-uploaded it with the title Big Beautiful Bill. At this point, you might be sensing a pattern. I can hear you asking, Darkfry, you are so hot and handsome and smart and cool, but it seems that you are suggesting that the reason WKUK's satire works is specifically because it makes fun of conservatives. Is that really what you're saying? Flattery will get you nowhere, dear viewer, but that is a great question. Is that seriously what I am saying here? Yes, the target of a joke is probably one of the most important things about it. It doesn't always tell you the complete beliefs of the person telling the joke or their intent behind it, but it does do a good job of signifying where their priorities lie. It's important to understand that comedy can be a weapon of attack. Satire especially requires an object of ridicule for the audience to laugh at. The laughter originates out of pointing out all the negative or shameful characteristics of the target and exaggerating them. There's a degree of animosity inherent in satire. The key is to aim that vitriol in the right direction, upwards. When the brunt of your attack is aimed at a group of people that is especially vulnerable, who don't have much power or influence over your life, it just comes off as mean-spirited and not funny. There's even a term for it: punching down. Punching down is generally frowned upon and is understood to be bad. A lot of people know this intuitively, and any comedian who doesn't is merely pretending not to. Like this fucking asshole.
They say I was punching down on them. Punching down. What the fuck does that mean?
Dave Chappelle, in this clip, is playing dumb. Make no mistake, Chappelle understands how comedy can be used as a cudgel to hurt people better than anyone. He has first-hand experience with this. It's the literal reason he quit comedy for years. Yet here he is being befuddled by this very simple concept.
I don't know what any of this shit is, and I'm fucking scared.
Since Dave is so confused, let's show a perfect example of punching down.
All those people are booing, and I'm just pointing out the obvious. They have terrible seats. I understand. All coming from way up there, niggas, last minute. Now I'm playing the niggas, boo.
So here we have Dave Chappelle, one of the most prolific and successful comedians of our time. And right in front of him, on stage, is Elon Musk, the fascist billionaire who bought the election for Trump and basically single-handedly dismantled America. Could you imagine being in this position as a comedian? You just got handed material for your next 3 specials on a silver platter. Most comics would kill to have such an opportunity. This is like a lion stumbling on a mountain of prime A5 meat. A true treasure trove of potential comedy gold. And Dave Chappelle uses this opportunity to make fun of poor people. That's what punching down is, and even Whitest Kids You Know is guilty of this sometimes. They were not immune to the casual misogyny that was, and still is, so pervasive in television. The first sketch of the show's punchline is calling a woman
such a stupid bitch.
The sketch could have worked if it had kept the punchline to just, "This couple doesn't understand technology." A later sketch has all 5 of the boys dressing up as women to mock period symptoms and ends with this.
Because he has better things to do with his life.
Now, this may just be my editor being a big lesbian, but in her opinion, what better thing is there than talking to your partner for lengthy amounts of time? It's a joke that just sounds like they hate their partners. That said, these sketches stand out specifically because they are an outlier in a series that was generally consistent at approaching sensitive and controversial topics in a way that made it very clearly punching upwards. These sketches feel out of place in WKUK because they carry a similar feeling of disdain for the subject as works like South Park.
Crazy red time.
I agree with my wife.
South Park is also a show built on satirizing taboo subjects, but their approach to targets is best described by this bit from comedian James Acaster.
Can't go around treating everyone the same before you've got equality. What, you go past a school, see a bully, punch another kid in the face, then get out your car, go up to the bully? You make me sick, and just for balance, you're a piece of shit as well.
A lot of South Park's ethos comes out of the morally bankrupt ideology of its creators, both devout libertarians. They hate people who believe in things, regardless of the actual beliefs. This anti-belief stance results in treating marginalized people as equal to their oppressors. They might make a joke about transphobia, but also do 10 seasons of pronoun jokes. And look, I truly wish we could all do pronoun jokes right now, but until the time finally comes where the gays rule the world and establish the queer world order, we have bigger, more orange fascists to fry. When South Park finally grew some tits and decided to mock Trump after a decade and only once they had an extremely safe and expensive deal secured, instead of actually mocking his beliefs like in Shoshan, they just called him gay in a repeat of a joke from their 1999 film. This is like the Dave Chappelle thing from earlier. Donald Trump is so easy to make fun of. An actually witty, talented comedian would have a goddamn field day. There are more jokes you could make here than there are eyeballs in my boba tea, and this is the best you have? This? Because when your comedy is this mediocre, you can just self-plagiarize and punch up by still punching down. This is not unique to South Park, or even conservative comedy, by the way. I see this slop all the time on Blue Sky, the liberal stronghold. What if Trump was gay? What if Elon Musk was a woman? What if Elon Musk and Trump were lovers? Get better material, I beg of you. You put all your stat points in cringe, and I weep for your soul. It has to be said that bad liberal satire and bad conservative satire are almost indistinguishable. This is why I said earlier that you can't really tell a person's beliefs from their comedy, but you can learn a lot about their priorities. In the case of South Park, we've seen how vicious it can be when it's making fun of certain groups. So when it suddenly pulls its punches, that's very revealing. The contrast is immediate. WKUK goes after powerful individuals and systems by targeting the absurdity and violence of those systems. As such, their work becomes prescient to current events by being observant of history. South Park, on the other hand, has no ideological awareness, so they mock him in the same way 8-year-old Jimmy, whose parents hate queers, would on a playground. By not holding a real tangible belief, and by not actually doing risky things, South Park dabbles in a safe yet aesthetically edgy space. In contrast, Whitest Kids You Know asks how close to the line they can get, famously once explaining how to assassinate the president for war crimes in a way that was barely technically legal.
I really, really think someone out there should kill the President of the United States of America. That's illegal, extremely illegal.
One of these breaks boundaries and societal rules, the other participates in policing them. One of them directly calls out America's violent imperialism and actively attacks the position of presidents as worthy of respect. The other just calls him gay because, gay people, am I right, folks? Aren't they just the fucking worst? Even before South Park stopped dragging its feet on going after Trump directly, their primary satire of him was simultaneously a mockery of trans women.
I'll never know what it feels like to have a baby growing inside me and then scramble its brains and vacuum it out.
Mr. Garrison is in fact the perfect embodiment of their views, placing a violent caricature of trans womanhood in the position of a person actively trying to genocide all trans people.
No matter how many surgeries you have or chemicals you inject, if you're born with male DNA in every cell of your body, you can never become a woman. You're not going to be a woman.
Meanwhile, Whitest Kids You Know was written well before he gained power and still relevantly mocks how he uses that power. Many of its skits, due to their understanding of political beliefs and power in the United States, end up presciently attacking what he eventually did.
Build that wall.
I hereby decree that a giant fence should be erected.
Outclassing in both edgy content and quality after his ascendancy to Führer of the Burger Reich. Satire requires targets, and good satire can only occur when those targets are in fact powerful, are doing harm, and are participating in actions worth deriding. It also only works if it actually understands what is harmful about those targets. However, South Park knows this. If you were to ask the creators of South Park, I bet they'd say that's what they are doing. The problem is that they think they're punching up because they operate under the absurd and frankly ghoulish notion that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are not part of the elite, but a non-binary barista with pink hair somehow is. This is what actually differentiates South Park and Whitest Kids You Know. South Park hates people who are outside their perceived status quo, whether they are marginalized or bigoted, and conflates them all as being the same. Whitest Kids You Know, meanwhile, hates bigots, especially if they have power. Which brings us to the actual thing that makes comedy work. The real secret sauce. Having morals. Believing in good things. Taking a stand against bad and harmful things. Having the damn backbone to actually care about the people and world around you. The most important ingredient in comedy is humanity, soul.
I would defend to the death his right to do everything he does. The thing that I find unusual, and it's not a criticism so much, but his targets are underdogs. And comedy traditionally has picked on people in power, people who abuse their power.
If I have a politician on my show, I need to be held to a journalistic standard the same way that if you headlined the DC Improv, I would say, where are all the fucking punchlines?
I'm walking down the hall at the comedy club, at the Comedy Store, and, you know, in one room, someone's doing their bit about trans people, and then I get down the hall, and there's someone on stage going, well, I guess I got to do my bit about trans people. Like, no, you don't. You don't.
Edgy comedians, no one tells them what they can and can't say. They walk straight on stage, top of their specials sometimes, do 10 solid minutes just slagging off transgender people.
I do not think comedians have the power, the strength to be cozying up, go to the events, drink the wine, hang out, party, go on the jet, and then be honest about their critiques.
I mean, you know, you guys got the freedom you wanted. You can now say whatever you want. They're defeated. Their rights have been denied. The policies that you guys encouraged with your stupid material are now policy.
But I hate people complaining about cancel culture. People making more money than ever before. And Dave Chappelle, who's won every award in the world, is complaining that cancel culture is making his job harder. It's like, your job shouldn't be easy.
Why does he get away with it, do you think, Ben? I think he's appealing largely. I think his core audience are young white males who are threatened by these groups. I think a lot of these guys aren't sure of their manhood because that's a problem when you're going in through adolescence.
So whether they knew it or not, that's what they were spearheading. So now it's reality, and you want to still keep kicking them?
They'll all be checking their privilege on the way home now, thanks to you brave little cis boy.
I think that's what is at the core of that experience that takes place in these arenas. There's a certain, you know, a sharing of anger and rage at these targets.
That's where I go. You're no longer a comedian. You have to admit what you are is you work for the state in this particular instance, and that's not a comedian. Politicians should not want to be with a comedian.
So apparently, it's 2019. Most people still more than happy to laugh at transgender people. Not as comfortable laughing at Ricky Gervais yet, I've discovered.
Hello, thank you so very much for reaching the end of this video. I would like to thank my wonderful patrons who support me on Patreon and are on screen right now, with a special shout out to Sunny Haven, Oralytical, Seth Zard, and 333M. You too can join my Patreon and Discord server for just €1 a month. Rest in peace, Trevor Moore. Local sex pot. I'll see you in the next one.